So let's unpack this now with Ozden Zeynep Oktav in Ankara. She's a professor of international relations at Istanbul Medeniyet University. Professor, it's always good to have you on this news hour. Now, when we look at the list we've just gone through, there was varying reaction to the failed coup in 2016. Why was there such differing reaction to Türkiye?
Actually, I don't want to define this as a coup attempt. This was completely an attack on Turkey on that night, 15th July night. And as you mentioned, FETÖ was already very well organized with its schools in many parts of the world. But there was only one country which just felt very betrayed. It was the United States, because the head of this terrorist organization was residing in United States since 1999. And therefore, Turkish-American relations were very badly affected by these attacks. And the United States under Obama did not manage the relations well, because Obama's statements, if we remember his statements, was not that much supportive the democracy in Turkey, and many believed in the United States this was a theater, or this was Erdogan's pretending to defend the democracy. But in the reality, the people on the streets were really just sacrificed their lives for the protection of democracy in Turkey. And this is very important, and therefore I'm just not saying that this was a coup attempt, and they were not the coup plotters. They were the terrorists under the guise of Turkish soldiers. They were not actually the real Turkish soldiers, because within the army as well, there was a big portion of Turkish army officials who did not support these attacks and did not want to be seen as a part of this tragedy, in my opinion. Therefore, people just stood against the attacks from the outside to Turkey on the 15th July night. And another important, yes, please.
Yes, sorry to interrupt. I just don't want us to run out of time before we get all the information in. But since 2016, how has this impacted and possibly changed the way the Turkish government deals with terrorist organizations? Because, of course, it's not just FETÖ, it is the PKK who have now laid down their arms. But did 2016 affect any of that?
Yes, affected. I think your question is about how Turkish government dealt with this terrorist organization, as far as I understand.
And just finally, is there a sense that the FETÖ terrorist organization has been held accountable for what they did?
No, unfortunately, many of them were sentenced to life imprisonment, but many of them are still abroad, as you explained very well. But when you have a look at the numbers are very striking. For example, 4,891 defendants were convicted, and with 3,000 of them were sentenced to the life imprisonment, and 85 of them were old generals. These numbers are striking, but still we have a FETÖ problem in Turkey, because, as you mentioned very well a little while ago, that there are still FETÖ schools in the Balkans, in Africa, in Central Asian countries, principally Russia and Uzbekistan, and in United States still the FETÖ has a shelter, unfortunately, and therefore they are not accountable fully in full terms, in my opinion.
Professor Oktav, it's always good to get your analysis. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.